Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Michelotti Podcast. Today, I got two great guests. Number one, I got Mr. Craig Cooper. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Craig Cooper.
There we go. And we got Ryan Doe on the podcast, and it is both of these guys' first podcast appearance. Is that right?
Facts.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I love it. This is going to be a great one for you guys. Today, we're going to dive into some sales, into some marketing, and Ryan's starting off his business, so he's going to be able to ask some good questions as well and really give you guys some valuable insights. So I want to start off, Craig, what's your claim to fame, man?
My claim to fame. My claim to fame is I kill diets. Yes, I said I kill diets. Now, why? The root word in diet is die. That's why they don't work. Nobody wants to do either one. And why I say that is I'm a caterer. 13 years ago now, my wife and I started a catering company on the back of one incredible creation. So imagine, if you would, a sweet potato pie. Now stuff it in a waffle. Top that waffle with a single scoop of vanilla ice cream. And we're going to drizzle it with a salted bourbon caramel sauce.
Wow.
Exactly. So that baby right there, won us a contest in San Francisco Street Food Festival back in 2011. We got a free booth competing against all the food trucks off the grid and all of the contributors and participants in La Cucina's cohort. And that Saturday, we sold 2,000 units.
Wow.
First time selling to the public. I knew we were on to something. Wife said, no. I said, no, we about to quit and do this. Literally 3 months later, she quit her job. 11. I quit my job. 3/15/12. Crazy slope ever since. None but positivity.
That's amazing. Well, how'd you come up with the creation? Because that's a pretty nuts thing, man.
So the wife, how it came up with the creation goes back to the wife. She was an expensive date. First date, she cost me $150 for lunch. There was no alcohol. She says I got the Wagyu steak. It wasn't a $150 steak. But I'm just saying, we like food.
Yeah.
And so everywhere we went, it was an experience. And then we began to try to recreate dishes. We're married at home and invite friends over. What do you think about this? Blah, blah, blah. Just sharing around the table with community and friends, letting them know what we love and sharing with them, because it's enriching, right? And friends would always say, start a restaurant. You silly, we got good jobs. No. But we had a brunch. At that brunch, we had that waffle. We had millionaire bacon. We had red velvet pancakes with a cream cheese glaze. It was just ridiculous.
Wow.
Right? And we had about 20 folks at the house. Of those 20, the 5 that were still awake after the brunch, not napping. So we're going to start business.
I would be napping at the table after something like
folks,
that.
Yeah, folks was done. It was a beautiful thing. It was beautiful. I loved it.
I love it.
I loved it. Everybody had itis. But the ones that were left, no, I'm tired of you two playing. We're going to get you into business. One of those friends was actually on the board of La Cucina and that was the first year they did the contest.
Okay.
He said, if you don't enter the contest, I'll enter you. He said, well, whatever. We'll enter the contest. There's no way we're going to win. We actually won. And that set us on our journey.
There you go. Now, where are you guys at now? So that was the start of the journey. You guys started off selling sweet potato in a waffle with ice cream and caramel drizzle on the top.
Sir.
Now, where are you, and how long has that journey been?
Now, where are we? Now, the waffle started the journey, which is why I was the chief waffle engineer and food evangelist, right? But that was 13 years ago. Now, where are we? We are multiple 7 figures, 40 employees. I don't have to go to the office. Like, literally, I check in every now and then because it's nice, but I look at reports and collect checks. It's beautiful. Wife doesn't have to either, but she loves to. But the company's almost self-sufficient. It's like having a late teenage child. You're good. Work it out. It's wonderful.
So when you first started this business, and it was 13 years ago, right? You started
Yes.
the business, and now you've scaled to the point where you do a multiple 7 figures, are essentially created a lifestyle business. You don't have to go into it anymore. It feeds your lifestyle. You're able to do what you want to do
Yes.
and just reap the rewards. You're in harvest season now.
Yes.
When you first started that business 13 years ago, did you have the vision for what it would become, or is it just something that happened over time? Talk to me about that process.
That's a great question. So when we first started the business, one of the things that everyone always tells you when you first start a business, be an entrepreneur, take control of your time. That's a lie. That's not going to happen. You have to have a plan. You have to work that plan. Because if you don't, I love this quote. There are 4,400. Long pause. What are you talking about? Now, have you ever heard the quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson? Build a better mousetrap and the world will be the path to your door, right? It might be an age thing. I'm old, so that's what we heard when I was younger. To inspire entrepreneurs to do different if you think differently, right? The thing is, if I ask you to buy a mousetrap, you're probably going to buy the classic Tom and Jerry wooden guillotine joint, or you're going to buy a glue trap. Two, if you're humane. But if you look at the United States Patent Office, there are 4,400 patents for mousetraps, which means 4,398 people didn't make no money. I ain't about that life. Work smart, not hard. That was what Father always said. You don't kill yourself. So you got to have a plan. You have to work the plan. So being an entrepreneur means you have a great idea, but how you turn it into money? Don't be the 4,398. And as you turn it into money, you're now able to pay for yourself. You're now self-employed, right? But as a self-employed entrepreneur, you're really an intern because the amount of hours you work in a day, you're making pennies on the dollar. That's not worthwhile. You have to make a plan to continue to grow. How are you going to build your systems? How are those systems duplicatable, replicatable, making sure you're providing the same experience for your customers every time so that once that's in place, now you can bring on employees. You can train those employees to your vision, and you can work on your culture, which is the glue that holds it all together so that you don't have to be there. You work smarter, not harder, because you can only manage or earn as much as you can manage or earn. Like, again, you can only manage and earn as much as you can manage and earn.
Yeah.
The larger your team, the more you can manage and earn because they're managing some, right? You delegate the responsibilities, you delegate the management. And the more people you have managing that have the same vision, that are tied to where you're trying to go and tied to the accountability and the ownership and the teamwork, the stronger the team, a team with weakest link line, y'all know that one. It's the same thing, but the stronger the team
is only as strong as the weakest link.
That's it. So you focus on strengthening the entirety of the team, and it starts with the mindset, culture, systems, and you're only speaking of that and training of that mindset, culture, systems. What's the experience our customers have? Our motto: life is short, do something memorable. Making sure every experience a customer has is the only experience we're worried about that day. The customer in front of us right now. That's it, because every job's an audition. And you continue to grow to the point where you ain't got to do nothing. And then when you ain't got to do nothing, don't do nothing. You don't hire smart people to tell them what to do. Hire smart people so they can tell you what they need you to do.
Yeah.
And then you empower them. They own the outcomes. Reap the rewards of your freedom.
Yeah.
Amistad.
Well, you talk with such passion about entrepreneurship. What were you doing before this, man? Because it sounds like you started your entrepreneurial journey with that catering business, but now you're at the point where you've been an entrepreneur for a while, you're teaching other entrepreneurs, you're doing that thing. Were you always an entrepreneur, or what were you doing before that catering business?
That's a great question. I guess technically I've always been an entrepreneur because I do recall in elementary school, I would draw and sell custom comic books. Side hustle money. So I was always how can I do this and make some money? Shoe shine business, this. I've always had something going on. And even for my brief stint when I was at Baskin Robbins, my first legit job, people come in for ice cream cone, I'd upgrade them to a sundae quick. Right. So I've been in commercial sales, always responsible for owning my outcomes and learning the nuances of the entrepreneurial journey there, because you're given nothing but a territory. Now build your book of business. I can do that. And I did that. And that was 17 years before I started the catering company.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started in sales, you started with relationship development, and you worked your way to the point where you were like, all right, well, I think that this thing could actually make me a hell of a lot more money and give me my time back, it sounds like.
Well, that Saturday when we sold the waffles, and it was a commission check in a day, y'all can't see me throw up the peace sign. I'm out. I quit.
No, that's it. Actually brings me to my next question that I wanted to ask you. You're obviously a world-class relationship builder. I don't want to call you salesman because I don't think it's sales. You're just you're just great at you're great at helping people see what they want.
Right.
We'll call it that. You're great at helping people see what they want and giving them what they want in exchange for some dollars.
Facts.
So, what's your philosophy around business development and sales?
And another fabulous question. Man, you got some really good questions. I'm just saying, really good questions. So my philosophy around business development and sales, now this will be shocking because I've been in the sales game for 30 years. Everybody hates salespeople. I hate salespeople. Now, and when I say that, I hate them. So when the phone rings and they're interrupting you and they just start talking, they haven't listened or considered what it is you have. It's just an interruption.
Yeah.
And you can smell the commission breath oozing from their mouth, the most potent form of halitosis known to mankind. Yeah, and I'm cool. Click. Right? So I refuse to be a salesperson. Right? And the reason why I say salesperson in this specific context, a salesperson is operating from a place of selfishness. What can they get? How can you pay me? How can you take care of my commission check? How can you pay my rent? Salespeople operate from a selfish place. Never want to be that person. However, nothing in the world gets moved without being sold. So the reality is how to flip or marry those two. And the reality is, it's not so much things are being sold as every single person is on a customer journey. I need something. I recognize I need something. I do the research to find out what it is I need. And now I may or may or not interact with somebody to get the information before I make a decision. It's all in the power of the buyer. I'm making a purchasing decision, right? If they choose to interact with a professional, air quotes, that professional's responsibility is to first understand the buyer where they are. What do you need? What's the situation we're trying to solve? And from an honest standpoint, how can I help you? That's your job. And if your only mission is to help somebody, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust, all I have to do is be me. I don't have to be somebody else. You're going to trust me or not, but I have to understand how I can help you. Honestly looking for how I can help you. And if I can't, refer you to somebody that can. That is how I win. Just help somebody.
So this is interesting because totally understand that philosophy, and I love that philosophy as well. The reality of becoming an entrepreneur is sometimes not everybody has that thing where they sell 2,000 units. Now you got some inflowing cash. Some people decide, I want to take a bit more of a crude pathway of, I want to be an entrepreneur. Let's go and burn the boats. Let's get into this thing. And they've got to make that next sale. So how do you cross over those two pathways where it's like, you don't want to have commission breath, but at the same time, like, I got to make some money, otherwise I'm done for. So how do you marry those two concepts?
That's a beautiful question. And that's the most important aspect, that every salesperson must get to that point where nothing gets moved without being sold. And we can't exist without money, right? Everything requires money. You got to pay for lights, PG&E, roof over your head. You do have a goal, facts. But even having a goal, the sale is not the end goal. You don't focus on the sale. You focus on the number of conversations you have. Focus on the number of conversations, because it's a numbers game. And this is the sales thing we're always told. Everybody has a natural closing number, whatever it is, 25%, 30%, 60%, blah, blah, blah. If you talk to, let's just say it's 25, just keep it modest. If 25% of the people you talk to say yes, you need to have a minimum of that many, at least 4 meetings a week to get one yes a week. Now, if one yes is worth $5,000, and if your goal is $20,000, one a week is fine. Right? But if that one yes is only worth $2,000, you need to have more yeses in a week.
Yeah.
Right? So the goal then is to have more conversations. You know what the goal is. It's not that you're trying to get somebody to buy. You have to go through 3 no's to get a yes. Your job is to collect the no's. The way you do that is doing the work. How many telephone calls, how many emails do you have to get those meetings? You go through those meetings to get the yeses. You get those yeses, the money will come. Trust the process, right? Follow the process, the money will show up. But if you just chase the money, you will always be a no talent, commission breath having hack.
Got you. So your goal is to have conversations with the good people that you might be able to help out. And when you have those conversations, ask them, hey, how can I help you? Really understand what the pain is. Because if you give somebody some aspirin, but they have no leg because it just got blown off, you're not giving them the right thing.
No.
Right? So you got to figure out what the problem is.
There it is. That's it. Message.
No, that's amazing. So I remember a few weeks ago, we had a conversation. Actually, I think it was last week. And we had a conversation. You laid out this really, really cool sales framework. I think it was a 7-step sales framework.
Yes.
Now, I'd love for you to lay that out for our audience. And after you lay it out, can you break down what you think the most important step is?
Cool.
And B, and I have an idea of what I think you're going to say the most important step is. And B, what is the step that most people struggle with? I don't know if they're the same, but I'd love to hear your opinion on it.
Okay, so now the 7 steps framework, the 7 steps, yes.
Oh, it was 7.
It
Oh
is 7.
shit, I got it right. Look at that, lucky number 7.
That was money on. And I try to stick with numbers and patterns that make sense. 7 is a beautiful one, but 7 steps, yes. And it's a variation of a pattern I was taught throughout my career, right? And this is when you're in front of a customer, you have the meeting. So when I said you have to collect so many no's to get a yes, and you have to have the meeting, this is the actual framework for that meeting. And the first step is to establish rapport, right? You connect with the person. You're not there to chat them up. It's not a lot of small talk, but you do want to connect with them.
Yeah.
So they understand why you're there, right? What you understand why they're there, and then make sure that's the person responsible for making the decisions, right? Establish rapport. The second step is the transition statement. And that's the statement where you lay out how the meeting will go. I typically use, I appreciate you meeting with me here today. Whatever I do, fill in the blank. I know it's only important. It's very important to me. It's what I do every day, but it's only important to you when you need it. So I appreciate the time. So what we're going to do here today is, and I lay out the rest of the steps. I'm going to ask you some questions, understand what your needs are. We're going to find out if it makes sense. Then if it does, we'll work together. If not, we won't. And how does that work for you? Most folks say that works. Right?
Yeah.
Transition statement's been made. Now I have permission to begin to ask them the questions. This is discovery. Discovery is where you ask them all the questions about their business. So you're not pushing the product. You're trying to discover, as you said, with the legs blown off, what is the pain? Why is the pain there? How long have you had the pain? What have you done to try to medicate the pain? In your role, who have you worked with? There are 3 questions I love to ask during this time period. What do you do here? Who would you say is your competition? And then this might, and I frame it this way, this might be hard for you to answer, but what would you say separates you from your competition? Now I ask this question. Now this is the secret sauce, y'all. This right here, magic. Ooh, this question. When I ask, what separates you from your competition? Like 30 years, no one has ever said we have the lowest price. Never. They always say, we're an industry leader, family-owned company. We do X, Y, and Z. We create this technology. They never say lowest price. Why is that important? People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Everyone knows, like, and trust themselves. So when you tell your company story, you can frame it where it's similar to theirs. They don't sell on price. I don't have to sell on price.
Yeah.
Way to taste the soup. The way to taste the soup. I'm sorry, I got excited. So that's the discovery.
No, that's great. That's a great point, because I think the price is a big reason why a lot of people hesitate when they're trying to sell. They are trying to make it affordable for the other person. But I love that framework, because it makes it so when you are selling, you don't have to worry about the price of your product. All you have to do is highlight the thing that they care about the most, and that's what the discovery phase is all about.
That's what discovery phase is all about. And people always get stuck in I'm going to finish the rest of the steps. I know I'm still on 3, but people always get stuck on the price. Price is not the issue. It never is the issue. And the reason why I say that, if price was the issue, everyone in your neighborhood would be driving the exact same car. But they don't.
Yeah.
Cars are all over the map, right? Broke people go to Disneyland. Again, broke people go to Disneyland.
It's a $5,000 adventure.
You know what I'm saying? If they're motivated, they will find a way. Mm-hmm. Whatever my product is, I'm Disneyland. It's not my job to change the prices. It's my job to be Disneyland. They'll figure out how to pay for it. But again, I digress. So yeah, discovery.
No, that's a great point. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. That was free. So discovery. Now, after the discovery, and we qualified and we found 4 to 7 pain points. Like 4 is the magic number. You find 4 pain points, and you can solve those 4 pain points. There's no reason why they won't say they will work with you. You only find 1, it's kind of hard. 2, slippery slope. 3 is a maybe. 4, oh, they going with you. Like if you got 7 and you can fix all 7, guarantee they're going with you, right?
So when you're going through this discovery phase and you're trying to find these pain points, for each question you ask, it's supposed to uncover one of those pain points, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And these are all open-ended questions. Tell me about how long you've been doing, how long you've been here, what do you do, what do you like, what would you improve, who's your current vendor, what do you like about your current vendor? You never paint them in a bad light because it makes you look bad, but you can always ask these 2 questions. What would you improve about your current vendor or situation? Or, okay, pretend you're not working with company X, Y, Z. If you could build your perfect situation from the ground up to taking care of your problem, tell me what that would look like. And they tell you what they really want. People settle. right? Because they don't want to go through the work. But they had the meeting with you. They want a better solution. It's your job to find it. You're Sherlock Holmes. Do the detective work, right? These questions will uncover the real issue. And you have to listen intently to, I hear it. I see what it is. And then once you identify what it is, get them to spend a little more time digging around it. And once you've uncovered it, say it's delivery times. My current vendor's always late. They're always, play it back. They're always late. Ugh. What happens when it's late? How's that impact you? Mm-hmm. Make it personal. Bring the pain to the surface, right? And one more question on the pain once it's the surface. Don't solve it at that point. Let that pain sit there and marinate. It's like cooking a beautiful dish. You let it sit and marinate, and it's not all soft and juicy. So when it's time to cook and eat it, it's delicious.
So after they tell you that thing, you feel like you've uncovered that pain. Move on to the next question.
Well, uncover the pain. Okay. Season it a little bit.
Okay.
And then leave it.
Okay.
Right. So again, you want them to marinate, feel the pain, recognize it. They acknowledge it from their own words. They play it back. They say something about it. And the beauty of it is when they've acknowledged it and they heard it from their own voice, internally, they can't help but say, I hate this. They won't say it to you, but you're also reading their body language. And you can see when the one eye squints or they kind of bite their molars, right? Or you can see the ear. There'll be some kind of tell where you can read this really bothers them.
Yeah.
Great. That's when you know to back off. Don't dwell on it. You expose it, they feel it, back off. But then you come back to it, which is at the end of the discovery. That's when we go to our trial close, where you mentioned, okay, so you said these 4 to 7 things bother you. So if we can do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, you feel pretty good about working with me. And they say yes. Great. And the trial close is very important. And now, after the trial close, you go to your next step, which is the company story. And you frame your company story in similar language to their company story, how we're similar. Don't spend too much time. You can customize it as much as necessary. Go long if you need to. But really, you want to get to the pain because that's what they really want to hear about. And while you tell them the company story, you tell them, in my X number of years or in my experience, this is what we've learned. And this is how we would handle A. You said this is the problem. What we do is yada, yada, yada. And now you ask, how's that sound to you? A little medication, right? Say, that sounds good. And you feel them calming down. You go to B, you do the same thing. In our experience, we've done this. This is how we resolve the situation, which means to you. How you like that? Yeah, I like that. Great. And if you have a pen and paper or, Kindle, iPad, whatever, if you have a list, you're checking them off in front of them. And they can physically see you checking them off. In their mind, they're also checking them off. You're controlling the conversation just subtly, and they're with you. And you go through the whole list doing that. You said this. This is how we do this. How's that work? The check-in. Oh, I love it. Cool. I knew you would. And you just keep going through the whole list. And after you finish the whole list.
And this list is the things that you do for people?
Correct.
Okay.
We did the company story. We're presenting the solution.
Gotcha.
Right? And as we're presenting the solution to their problems, which they showed, which we confirmed during the trial close, a little brief time on the company story. Now we're presenting the solutions. As we present the solutions, you can physically feel them, if you're attuned in the conversation, relaxing. And they're liking what you're telling them because they've been dealing with this stress. You're showing them how you can take that stress off their plate. And they're like, yeah. And then when you're at the finish, so you said if we could do these 7 things, you'd work with us. We showed you how we liked them. You literally just gave me 7 yeses in a row. How you feel about moving forward?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And what's interesting, I relate this back to, maybe I shouldn't, but maybe I should. I kind of relate it back to almost like a car sale. So you walk in, you don't know the price of this Bugatti you want to buy, right? But they start going over all the features, and then halfway through, you're like, "Fuck, this thing sounds good. How much am I?" Now you don't think of, can I afford it? But how much am I going to have to spend on this thing? I fucking want it. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. You love everything that you're hearing. Now you're trying to figure out how to afford it, rather than can I afford it? And you're like, that's my shit. I want that thing.
And that's where you want them to be. Mm. And because I'm never discussing price. It's not about price. This is what your situation is. This is the solution. Or put yourself in the doctor mind frame, right? When you go to the doctor office and you have a condition, you tell the doctor your symptoms. He goes through the whole list. He prescribes you a solution. You don't go try to haggle with the doctor. Mm-hmm. You pay the bill. You pay the bill.
Yep.
When I walk into the room for this customer, because I've already done my homework, I know they're a potential customer. They've invited me in. They know they have a problem. I've identified them. Here is the bill. Will it be cash or will we be using your insurance? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm saying.
Yeah. I like it. So that last part was the close?
Oh, that's the close.
There you go. There you go. I want to bring it back to discovery really quick. So let's say as you're going through this discovery portion of things, you realize that the things that this person wants probably aren't the best fit for what you have. Okay. Have you ever ran into that situation before?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you do in that case scenario?
Doing discovery, and this is why discovery is like the most important. This tells you everything you need.
Well, that was going to answer my next question. So discovery, most important phase of it. I love it.
Discovery is the most important phase. It tells you everything you need. It tells you if you need to proceed, how to proceed, or if you need to back out, and when to back out, right? So you haven't told them your whole company story so they can't reject you. But during discovery, you find out everything they need. And doing that, you identify what they need is not you, right? Any good solutions provider, and that's really what you are. If you come in and you're trying to help somebody, you're trying to provide a solution. If you're worth your salt, you will have a network of other solutions providers whom you can trust, will take care of your customers. And if they're aligned similar philosophy, they're not going to embarrass you. They're not going to show up late to meetings. They're going to take care of customers like you would want to take care of. You can refer that person to one of your cohorts, right? One of your allies. And if you're doing that, they're going to do the same for you, right? People call it karma. The business networking internationally call it giver's gain. Pay it forward. Be not to see whatsoever man sowed, that shall also reap. It's all the same thing, man. If you're doing good, you're going to reap some good. So don't just look for how you can get paid. You're looking for how you can help the customer. The customer said, this is their situation, was outside your scope, but it's within a friend's scope. You know what? I appreciate your time today. Based on what you said, this is your situation. This is where you are. And I can hear this particular problem is outside my scope. But the good news is I've got a very good friend. I'm going to connect the two of you, refer, and I'm certain they can help you out.
Yeah. I did that without even realize I was doing it at one point. So I decided that I wanted to make some sales. So I started doing cold calls, right? Okay. I started cold calling just different realtors in the area. And I had like this follow-up sequence. It was like this 5-step follow-up sequence. Initial text. Right. All right. Send a voice note 2 hours later. That way they knew it was actually me and not just some automated thing. And I would say their name and all that. A couple days later, I'd send them another text. If I didn't hear back, I'd give them a few days and then I'd give them a ring.
Nice.
Did this follow-up sequence, had somebody reach back out to me. Booked a meeting with them, went to the meeting, and they were actually the head of a real estate office.
Nice.
And had that conversation with them. One of the most important things to them was price. I don't compete on price. I compete on value. Right. So I knew that wasn't going to be the best fit. And they were asking me to cut down things. It just wasn't something I was willing to do because I wouldn't have enjoyed it. My team wouldn't have enjoyed it. We weren't the best fit. But I had a buddy that was a great fit for them. So I referred them over to him. They started working together. One of the agents left that office and then ended up coming to work with me because they wanted to work with me.
That's what I'm talking
so
about.
Because I built that relationship, because they knew who I was and I had that conversation with them, even though the office didn't want to work with me, when that person left, they ended up coming with me. And over the course of that relationship, it probably netted me between 10 and 15 grand.
Love it.
From that one. Even just referring out instead of trying to push the relationship. So I used that without even realizing I was using it. So that's very cool.
I love that story. And not only is it awesome, shows a practical application, there was so much in it, like nuances to a sales nerd like me. First, your variation on the Agoji sequence. Now you send an email, follow up with a text, blah, blah, blah. Now I will add one other piece to help you out.
Please.
Reach out to them with the socials as well.
Okay. That's why you're always asking for LinkedIn too, isn't it?
Can I get a witness? So yes. So LinkedIn is an awesome sales tool, especially if you're doing B2B business, right?
Gotcha.
Most B2B decision makers are on LinkedIn all the time. They might not appear to be active, but they're there daily. Looking for information, looking for talent, blah, blah, blah.
And if they get a good message and not a shit message, then
there you go.
I reply to the good ones. Like if I'm actually interested in the thing,
right. I
reply and I say, hey, yeah, I'm interested. Let me hear more about it.
There you go. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So the email, the text, the social, all three of those are powerful. Use all of those three in your initial and try to on your second stage as well. Changes everything. It increases your touch points, right?
Yeah.
And the more touch points you have early on, it increases your deal velocity, how fast it goes from prospect to them saying, yes, I'm going to meet with you. It's awesome. But anyway, nerd stuff.
No, I love it.
That was great. The part that was amazing when you had the meeting, you found out to try to get you to sell on price. I love the fact that you held your integrity, right? Customers will always, prospects, depending on the personality type, and you do, a whole assessment, but we can talk about that or not. But there's assessment. Some personality types try to control the meeting. You cannot lose control of the meeting. That's why having those 7 steps ingrained in your head is so important, because I guess I got to go into personalities. We've been heard of the Myers-Briggs, right? And all those different personality types, and those four. Yep. I don't know what my 4 letters are. I don't know what your letters are. I don't know what your letters are. I don't know how my letters work with your letters. I don't know. Man, come on, that's confusing. So I simplify life, and there's the DISC assessment, and I forget what that one is. I prefer the bird assessment. It's called DOPE. And you have doves, owls, peacocks, and eagles. Doves make decisions in a group. Who else is involved? How can I feel safe? I don't be out on the ledge by myself. Owls, solitary, and they're very analytical. They need all the information to make the decision by themselves, right? You have peacocks, also social, but can be solitary. They just want to look good. How's this decision going to make me look good? So you're appealing to their emotions. And then you have the eagles, big picture, drivers, and they also want to control conversations. Mm-hmm. Now, you have to know who you're talking to. And you have to be able to speak similarly, because there is one that is your polar opposite. You'll find you have a conversation with somebody to get on your absolute last nerve. They're your polar opposite, right? Doves and eagles clash. Eagles and peacocks clash because they care about different things. Peacocks want to look good. Owls want facts that don't match.
Yeah.
So the conversation clashes. Eagles want to get the bottom line. Doves want to be safe. They clash. You don't speak the same thing. And so it's a struggle. And so you have to be aware of that when you're having the conversation, presenting your solution, but also when somebody's trying to steal control of the meeting. If they're trying to take control of the meeting, absolutely an eagle, right? You got to stroke their ego a little bit, but maintain control of the meeting. So I commend you for doing it as well. And the third lesson, which was amazing in that story, was knowing your value and not compromising it. The easiest thing to do is lower your price. The hardest thing to do is raise your price back up to where it's supposed to be. So you don't ever lower your prices. The customer doesn't know what your cost of operation is. They don't know how much it costs you to run your business. They don't get to come behind and tell you how to run your books. I don't get to go to Disneyland and say, I want a ticket for $30. I don't get to go to the Bugatti store and I can say I got $20,000. Give me a car.
Yep.
No, that's not how life works, right? So this is what it is. Period, full stop. I appreciate that. You can be respectful, but you don't compromise your price. I never.
And that's something I did in the early stages of the business, because you feel that moment when you're like, well, I could really use the money right now. I could use the money to pay rent. I could use it to pay myself. I could use it to do this. I could use it to do that. And that can be hard, right? Because you're like, okay, but I love how you systematized it based on the number of conversations. But I know that if I have X number of conversations and I get on X number of calls, then I'm going to be able to make X amount.
There it is.
And when you can systematize it and break it down that way, then it makes it a lot easier to say no. And
yes.
I remember when I was in that conversation, actually, I was like shaking the whole time, because it was the first time I did an in-person kind of sale. All the other ones have been over, but it's any time that I've lowered my prices, every single time the relationship has gone south. Yeah, you have a couple months where you get income, but then the relationship goes south. I would rather say, no, I can't lower my prices, and then leave and end it there, than say, yeah, I'll lower my prices, hate working with them over the next couple months, and then all of a sudden the relationship ends sour because I know that I'm behind on this, I'm overpaying for this, and it just doesn't make sense. And that's why I was actually talking to Ryan over here, and we were having a conversation about how he should start off his fitness business. And I was telling you that when you're starting, don't start out at a low price. Try to bring as much value as possible to start off at a super high price, because those customers, they will value you more, they'll value your product more, and who doesn't want to make more money? Because when you make more money, you're able to do bigger things and help more people. And at the end of the day, it just comes the type of customer that you can work with. It's just so much better when they're willing to pay you.
And I'll co-sign that check. That's amazing. Remember this quote: "People that pay attention."
People that pay attention.
Right. So the more they pay, the more they value what it is they're paying for.
Right.
So my father also told me, now, don't judge me, IKEA was made for rich people. And then people look at me like, what? That doesn't make sense. IKEA furniture's affordable. So true, it's very affordable because it will break down. It will be broken. I will have to replace it and keep replacing it. I would much rather invest in a piece I can keep, right? And so it's a different mindset. It's a different customer, right? So there's one customer who's going to IKEA. There's another customer who's going to a whole nother company. Two different sides of the spectrum. My wife likes stuff, like clothes, right? So you Walmart's on one side of the spectrum, Bloomingdale's is on the other. Both of them have one selling on volume, one selling on value, right? So you have to decide where you want to be and set your prices accordingly. And know what's the average value of your customer. How many customers do you need to reach your number? How many no's do you have to collect before you get to that customer? That's where you focus your energy. And then work smarter, not harder.
It reminds me of so I like to wear black t-shirts a lot just because they're easy and they go with almost everything, right?
Steve Jobs.
And I did a turtleneck for a while. I'm not going to lie to you, man. But no, I love my black t-shirts, and Target sells about 6 plain black t-shirts and you can get them for like less than $10.
Okay.
$10 for 6 t-shirts.
Okay.
And then there's another brand that I saw called Cuts, and they sell one black t-shirt for $50. Now, I don't want to buy the t-shirt for $50, so I ended up getting one for Christmas. I don't ask for things for Christmas, but people know I like black t-shirts. So someone got me a $50 t-shirt for Christmas. I have about 50 of those Target black t-shirts. I have one of the Cuts t-shirts, but I know when that Cuts t-shirt gets a little nick or something, I can feel things nicking. I'm like, fuck, stay away from me. I'm not trying to get anything. Target t-shirts, I don't care. They'll start fading and all that. I'm like, all right, throw it away, go get a new one. Exactly. So that's kind of how I see it. Is like, I'm putting the investment into the Cuts t-shirt, and I care when things get on it. I care if it gets nicked on something or if it catches up. I'm aware of the thing happening. Versus Target t-shirts, I'm like, I'll just go get another one. And then I might be like, you know what, since this one's cheaper though, and it looks kind of like better quality, so I'm going to stop going to Target. I'm going to go over here instead. So it actually helps me pivot more. Versus Cuts, I'm like, I know this t-shirt's good. I've taken care of it. It's always done right by me. I'm going to keep going to them for my next 10 black t-shirts. Even though it's more expensive, now I have the budget to go get them. So I don't know if that's a good analogy, but that's kind of how I see it and how I add it into practical life.
No, that's a great analogy. And it really speaks to what we're talking about. It's this exact same thing. And recognizing is one thing that the new entrepreneurs will typically have a struggle with, is recognizing your value, what you bring to the table, and setting your prices. Because what plagues everyone is imposter syndrome. First of all, you are a real you. Whoever you are the only you that's ever been on the planet. Therefore, you cannot be an imposter. You're real. So how can you doubt that you exist? Pinch yourself. Did you feel it? Because you're real. You're not an imposter, number one. Number two, your unique skill set and knowledge is for your unique customer. Be niche AF. Know exactly who your customers are, and you're selling to them. And that customer will pay for what it is you have to provide them. You don't have to doubt yourself. Ring that register. I'm sorry. I apologize. I get on my soapbox quick.
No, it's good. That's what it's here for. I'll ask you then, because the niche conversation is one that I've had with a lot of people, because I've always believed in riches in the niches, right? You got to know who you're targeting. That way you can bring them the most value. The thing that I run into a lot is, well, is there enough volume of that person? So how do you know when it's time to kind of go outside the box a little bit to work with new people? How do you stay within the niche without limiting the amount of people that you can work with?
So the beautiful thing was about the niche, you can focus on your niche, right? And by accident, this is what I'm finding even with my coaching, by accident, you still attract other people that can still use your solution, right? So obviously my expertise now is in food. So I'm trying to help foodpreneurs grow and scale from side hustle to $1 million, or from, if you're at $1 million and you're stuck, from $1 million to $5 million. I get hit up by all kind of folks that need assistance. So I have entrepreneurs starting electrical business. I have another person that has a end of life planning business. Right? People are approaching me that know what I do, and they see what I'm doing on LinkedIn. I've got the manufacturing company approaching me, right? A software company, They recognize your content that you're providing. It resonates with them because you're being real and authentic. While everybody else is relying on AI to speak, I speak with my real speech pattern.
Yeah.
I'm me. I'm not using AI.
I've read your LinkedIn content, and I can say that that is the truth, because you can tell when something is AI generated, and you can tell when something's real, and that's your stuff is real, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because you don't know when you put it out into the interwebs, but I'm putting it out there consistently. So, but that realness, that authenticity, and I'm putting real pictures of things that we've done out my record, as it were. People are responding and reaching out. So don't be afraid to think because you're being niche, you're not going to get everybody else. You will get enough. Just focus on doing the numbers that you need to do, and get out in the neighborhood, go to mixers, find some other people, develop your network of friends, give you some additional business.
Yeah.
The more people looking for business for you, the more you will find.
So how do you know when to say no to somebody? Do you ever say no to some? So you look at the range of services that you can deliver, because one of the easiest things to look at when you're trying to niche down, probably the thing that most people get stuck on, and even myself, is they stop at what industry. They're like, I work with people in the food industry, real estate industry, fitness industry. I work with that, and then they stop there from their niche.
Right.
So if somebody says I work with people in the real estate industry, but then somebody from what's another example? Construction industry comes to them and says, hey, I have these similar problems. I'm just in the construction industry. Can you help me out? How do you know whether to say yes or no to that person?
That's a great question. First, I'm going to do a little research. Never commit right away, because your word is your bond, right? And honesty is the most important thing you can provide, and your authenticity. You are your own brand, and people have to know, like, and trust you. And that trust comes from you speaking the truth. So you let them know, that's a great question. Let me get back to you. Do a little research, find out more about the industry, find out what is similar, or even do a clarity call. Find out sit down with them, coffee, spend a little time, find out what they need, see if you can help them. You know what your skill set is. You know the solution that you provide, and you will know when they're speaking, oh yeah, I can help, or I can't help. So what did Coach say? Don't worry that the horse is blind, load the wagon. Put as much on there as possible. You can figure it out later. I'm just saying. So try to get as many opportunities as you can, but don't overextend yourself for that which you cannot do.
Yeah, because then you deliver bad service, and people can talk about marketing and sales all they want. You can be the best marketer and salesman, but if you have a bad product,
done.
People aren't going to buy.
4,398 mousetraps. You must be one of them.
Yep.
Don't be.
No, that's great advice. I appreciate that. I want to dovetail into a fun question.
All right.
What's your favorite sales book?
Okay. My favorite sales book, and there's so many amazing sales books out there, right? When you're looking at the game itself, I found that the book that I get the most from, How to Do the Job, Overcome Objections, Believe in Your Product, Having Confidence, Not Having the Imposter Syndrome, just lifts your spirit. Green Eggs and Ham, Dr. Seuss. Facts. Green Eggs and Ham, Dr. Seuss. Everybody has told us, they always laugh at me. But rock with me for a second. Sam, I am Sam. Would you like green eggs and ham? Salesperson walks up, introduces themselves smiling to a person who never learned. Prospect, doesn't matter, could be anyone. So put your sales avatar on the prospect. And he's selling a product nobody has heard of, seen, or believes in. Green eggs and ham. Everything we sell is green eggs and ham. Proceeds to get 47 rejections, at least. Before he gets a yes, he collected all the no's. But he never stopped smiling. He never stopped believing in his product. And then the customer tried his product and thanked him. Oh my God, lesson 1, right? Persistence, resilience, believe in your product. Second lesson, you read it the second time. Why did he collect so many no's from the one person? Probably because he didn't do his proper discovery from the jump. Find out where the customer is on the journey so you don't end up like Sam. So if you get in the gang of no's, are you doing your discovery? Lesson 2. But anyway, yeah, there's a lot in green eggs and ham.
I love it. To talk about that, just the concept of no's, right? And also, if you want to move your mic higher, it's this knob right here.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah. If you unscrew it and then tighten it back up. But to this will be our last one, and then we're going to go on a quick break. Let's say you have an expensive product. How do you know when enough no's is too many? Or how do you know when the no's have gotten to be too many and you're too overpriced? You know what I mean? So let's say you're in I'll use my business as an example. Let's say you're in the marketing industry, and on average, amongst the range of services that you have, the average price point is $2,000 a month. But you're trying to sell something that is $10,000 a month. So you're 5xing the marketplace, right?
Okay.
How do you know when there's too many when you've gotten too many no's to where you need to bring that price down, or do you stick true to that price and stay there as long as you can until you get a yes?
That's a fabulous question. The lesson I was always taught, and I always use it all the time: if you sell on price, you lose on price. So price cannot be your only differentiator. You cannot think that that's the only differentiator. And when you're doing your SWOT analysis, you first look at your business and it compares to your competitors in the industry. What are your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? And then what are their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? You should be able to put a list and graphically, visually see what are they offering for $2,000, or a matrix, right? And then what are you offering for 10? If what you're offering is 5 times more valuable than what they're offering for 2, I ain't touching my price. I'm talking to the wrong people. But if what they're offering is similar to what I'm offering, I have to look at what I'm pricing, right? So the measurement is, what if we had the exact same customers, my competitors and I are talking to the exact same client avatar, and our offering is exactly the same, and my price is 5x, it's me. But if I offer more than my competitor, it's the customer.
No, it makes a ton of sense.
Okay, good.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that this also comes back and speaks to riches and the niches, to making sure you niche your product.
Yes.
Because if I'm selling let's say I'm selling some sort of, I'll bring it to kind of your business, sales program, right? And this is an example that Alex Ramosi uses in his book, $100 Million Offers. I actually love that book. And he talks about, if I'm selling a sales program and I price it at $200 versus me selling a sales program for vacuum salesmen. Now I'm going to raise that price because I know that it's going to be better for that specific niche. It's going to be targeted for that niche. Now I'm going to charge $1,000 for it, versus selling a product that's a sales training for vacuum salesmen who do door-to-door sales. Now I'm going to charge that at $5,000 because it's specifically nailed down to that customer, and I know that this product will 100% help this specific customer get said result.
There you go.
So it's the perceived likelihood of success.
Right.
They know that when they buy, if they pay this price, they're going to get this result.
Right. So
actually, it makes me think of that. So if you're trying to charge more for your product, if you get more niche down with who you're trying to help.
Exactly. And the more niche you are, the more, and I niche because, French, my bad. But the more niche you are with your product, the better opportunity you have for the right customer to come to you. Because again, those who pay attention.
Yeah.
If you get it on a deal, you're not going to pay attention, right? If I invested $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, I'm going to pay attention to that investment, much like your t-shirt, right? But if I can get it cheap, I'm not going to pay any attention, right? And so you have to work harder, and as the vendor, you have to work harder to hit your numbers. But don't work harder, work smarter. Be niche. Provide a smaller group. Work finding them. But once you found them, and you found the pool where they are, keep going back there, and you'll find that your money multiplies on itself.
I love it. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back. When we come back, we're going to talk about something a little bit bigger. We're going to talk about vision. We're going to talk about mindset and how you guys can take that next step in your entrepreneurial or career journeys. So we will be back after this quick break.
So you like J's?
I do. I used to... Quick story about Jay's, actually. Maybe this talks a little bit about what we're about to discuss. I graduated high school early. I don't know how I did it. I did not have a good GPA. I was not very good. It's not that I wasn't good in school. I'm not good at things that I don't care about.
Well, that's okay.
And it's pretty normal, right? But my girlfriend's a little different. She can grind at something and just be good at everything without even liking it. But I disconnect from things that I don't like. So I didn't have a great GPA, but I still graduated early because I wanted to work, and I worked at Safeway at the time. And Safeway, in case you didn't know, they pay weekly. So you don't have to wait 2 weeks for a paycheck. You get paid every Thursday for that week prior. So you just start to see that cash coming in all the time. And they do that on purpose because they also work you like a dog. So it's like, oh shit, I'm working 60 hours. Oh, but that paycheck next week's going to look real nice in my account. So long story short, I ended up saving about $7,000, and I had to get ACL surgery because I tore my ACL. And this was during COVID. So I was sitting in bed with nothing to do, but I got $7,000 in my account. And I'm only 18 years old, and I have nothing better to do than look at all the J's that are dropping.
No.
So I was laying in bed, and I bought about, and I couldn't even walk, probably 8 pairs.
StockX.
8 pairs, man. No, this was straight from the Nike website though.
Oh my God.
Because this is during COVID, right before they went completely out of stock of everything.
Wow.
So they were just dropping something new every week. I bought 8 pairs of J's.
All at once.
Yeah, each one was about $200.
Oof.
Each one was about $200. So that one hurt. but regardless, even coming back down to it, when I to the sales conversation, each one of those pairs costs a little bit of money, and it's not, even though I was okay with spending it, I still knew what it was going out. And every 3 days, I would go out, and each pair that I got, I would wash them. I'd be like, oh, these things got to stay crisp and clean. I get the shoe spray, I get the shoe wash. I'd be out in the garage with the door open without a shirt on, just with some shorts on and some J's on. I'd be washing my shoes for like 3 hours. 3 hours twice a week. And people would walk by, they were like, what are you doing? I'm washing my shoe again? I don't even wear them that often, but I'm still washing them. So, but I paid the money for them, so I took good care of them.
People that pay attention.
Yep. Anytime I went to a party, like a party next door or something, it was just like a family get together kind of thing. Somebody even touched my shoe. I was like, what are you doing? Stay away from here. Those dirty ass shoes, do not come near these shoes. So even coming back to that particular point, people that pay attention. I knew anytime somebody's shoe touched my shoe, anytime someone backed up a chair and it touched my shoe, anytime someone dropped a piece of popcorn and it touched my shoe, I could feel it in my soul, man.
I'm saying.
So,
I'm just saying. These one-liners, there's some truth in the one-liners.
I'm going to remember that for the rest of my life now. But how can we get that sort of feeling for our customers? How can we enforce that sort of feeling in our customers? And that's the question I want to ask you. How can we enforce the feeling of, I want to take care of this thing in our customers outside of just the price?
That's a great question. The reality is, it goes back to the reason why they buy in the first place. Right? Humans are irrational creatures. We don't buy because something makes sense. We buy to feel good. Literally, we buy to feel good. Even though you went through the 7 steps to yes, and you point out all these reasons, the whole root cause of the thing is, I'm uncomfortable. I don't like this. Make my life better. I want to feel good, right? And when you make them feel good, they connect with you. You tell them your company story, your company mission, so they can connect philosophically with your brand. That's your stickiness, right? And those two things are how they connect to you. And now when you deliver what you said you're going to, now you're golden. You got a customer for life. That's the glue. That's how you get them to connect to you. And now they're going to refer you. I got it. So I can't drop the names. I have a customer for a large sports team. What sports team is a customer? One of the people that was there, we made them look good. So he had us for his baby shower, personally, right? When he left that sports team and went to work for a different sports team, and they asked for someone that does the catering, he said, I've got a guy. He referred me to that sports team and 8 others. So when they come to town, I'm feeding the home team and 8 other teams as well, because I took care of that guy's situation.
Wow.
And here's the situation. When we went to go deliver, I had everything I was supposed to. I was professional. He came out with the cart. I said, what are you doing, man? I got everything. You paid us to do the job, right? Relax. And that's literally how I spoke to him. And I said, what do you have? I explained to him. He said, can I see the menu? I showed him the menu. I showed him the cards. All of our pans were color coordinated to the visiting team because we got hired for them first. Visiting team's locker. We saw the setup. That interaction impressed him so much. And one of the players was complaining about the situation. He gave us a shot. We've been working with them ever since.
Wow.
Right? The stickiness. Take care of his pain. Team members complaining. I've got somebody here that'll take care of the complaining. I already know they're professional because you showed up professional. Everything I need. Liked it so much. Hired his personal life. Stickiness. He went somewhere else. I got a guy. That's how they get connected to the brand. And I'm now his J's.
I love it.
Way to taste the soup.
I love it. No, that's amazing, dude. I want to ask you a question that's been on my mind a lot, and I think is probably on a lot of young entrepreneurs' minds. What's more important, sales or marketing?
That is a fabulous question. What's more important, sales or marketing? I would say neither. They're equally important. And it seems confusing, but here's the reason being. Marketing is when you tell someone about the product. They have to know you exist before you sell it. But until it's sold and you actually ask for the business, it doesn't count. So the two have to work hand in hand. And so there's been a movement afoot in the tech community for the past, I would say, five or so years, where they're trying to get away from having two separate vice presidents. Vice president of sales with their KPI, key performance indicators, and vice president of marketing with their key performance indicators, and put it all under one roof, and it's revenue. And the revenue is the combination of sales and marketing working together to get the customers the money.
I've been seeing CRO as a new thing, Chief Revenue Officer.
Chief Revenue Officer. Exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
It's binding of those two halves together because both are working to the same end. So it's not, did you get out enough marketing campaigns and what are we working on, blah, blah, blah. And sales, well, marketing didn't get me such and such. So sales using marketing as a scapegoat, marketing using sales as a scapegoat. No, you're partners, right? You're two halves of the same coin. And if you're working together to generate revenue, you work together to generate revenue. So the two have to go together because if it don't make money, it don't make sense.
It sounds like a more holistic approach just to the money-making process. It reminds me of,
yes.
I was reading my Elon Musk biography a few months back, and one thing that really struck a chord with me is when he's creating his businesses, whether and he especially did this in Tesla, a lot of places have the design and engineering department separated.
Right.
They have them separated.
Right.
And it takes a really long time for anything to get done. The engineers are complaining about the designers because they've designed something that is just impossible to do with engineering. And vice versa. The designers are saying, well, the engineers are having to do this way, but it makes the aesthetic look like crap in X, Y, and Z, right? So he combines them. He puts them all into one office because they both need to work together seamlessly. The engineering is the design. The design is the engineering.
That's it.
It kind of reminds me of what you're talking about here, where oftentimes we want to separate these things probably for just to kind of understand them better. I'm not exactly sure why people want to do it, but when you bring the two things together that have the same outcome, then you reduce friction.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. I like that. What do you primarily focus on in your businesses when you're at this current stage? Because now you've gone from, did you have, let me ask you a better question. Did you have different focuses at different times of your business? In the beginning, were you more focused on sales or marketing, and then what is it now, or has it always been equal?
Another good question. So when we go different phases of the business, for me, I always look at the journey. As an entrepreneur, you have a great idea. That's the beginning of your journey. But the journey, you're not making money. Then you have your next phase of your business where you're self-employed. You're not making enough money to take care of yourself. Yeah. But you're still trying to grow. In the next phase of your journey, that's where you're a business owner. I'm not only taking care of myself, I have other employees as well. And with those other employees, are we going to grow to the next stage or not? And then enterprise, which is the ultimate end, where you have the Warren Buffett mind. It's just printing money. You don't have to go, right? Each one has a different requirement of the revenue operation. And the revenue is the sales and marketing. So in the beginning, when you're, as an entrepreneur, no one knows you exist. You've got no brand. The most important thing at the entrepreneur stage is marketing side takes more of a lead. You're really pushing the marketing. But soon after, you need the sales because you have to have money to operate, right? So marketing is pushing hard, but then it needs to pull back a little bit. It never goes off, but it pulls back a little bit so now you can get the sales side in because you have your numbers. How many appointments do you need to go on? How many customers do you need to see? How many no's you need to collect, right? But you can't get that without the marketing piece. In this new digital age, the most important part of the marketing is knowing where your customers are. Which platform can you reach them? And then with that platform, which voice are you going to use to speak to them? Instagram is, for if you B2C, business to consumer, Instagram is so crowded. Everybody's on the gram and all the users are on there. So much noise to cut through, right? TikTok is straight distraction and plain. You're not really going to make money on TikTok. Facebook is an older crowd. And when I say older crowd, I'm talking like my parents and whatnot, baby boomers. They're aging out of the decision-making, money-making process. So you could advertise on Facebook, but are those customers going to make you enough money?
Yeah. Also depends on the product that you're selling. Because if you're selling like some cheap T-shirts or something, TikTok might not be bad. If you're selling some sort of product, because they got TikTok Shop popping up, so it's like these quick decisions.
Gotcha.
But if you're B2B and you have something that's $150, $500, $1,000, $8,000, $10,000, then TikTok's probably not your jam.
And for me, and you can tell by the way my brain works, in my entire sales career, I've always been the most expensive option. Always. Office supplies, telecom. As a headhunter recruiter, I've always been the most expensive option. So I don't even think about,
it reminds me of a quote that I just heard that hits me with that. If you can't be the cheapest option, there's no strategic advantage for being the second cheapest. So you might as well be the most expensive.
I like that one. Preach. Ooh, that was beautiful. You was singing, man. Ooh, that was nice.
That one resonates with me. And it also brings it back to me because this whole conversation is reframed in my mind on, instead of thinking so much about price of the thing and adding that as the barrier of why you're not able to make sales and why people aren't buying your thing, maybe it really just does come down to the value isn't there. You need to think about value and how you're affecting the end consumer more than you're thinking about how much it costs.
Yes.
Because there's always going to be someone out there that can't afford the thing. There's a reason that not everybody has a Bugatti or a Rolls Royce. Yes. They're millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. A lot of people have Toyota Camrys, but it checks a lot of people's boxes, right?
Exactly.
It's still a good car. It'll last a while, and it's not crazy. It's not crazy expensive. It checks some other boxes, but figuring out where you land on that value scale more than on the price scale is where you're coming at sales from, and that resonates with me.
Absolutely, and that's the most important revelation, aha moment, light bulb moment, whatever you want to call it, that you can achieve as an entrepreneur, where you fall on that scale, because that can be that dissonance between recognizing the difference between price and value. Until you recognize you're not talking about price, you're talking about value, you always are second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
That's what causes imposter syndrome, because you're having a conversation or trying to find a solution to the wrong problem.
Yeah.
The problem on the board is, what is the value of the product you're providing? Who's the customer who needs it? Where can you find them? That's the product on the board. That's the problem on the board. Solve that, the money will come.
And this is the thing that I'm working on. It's this balance of emotion and analysis, because in sales, it's hard not to, for me at least, it's been hard not to get caught up in like the emotion and the connection of the thing. But then you also take a step back and it's like, look, if I want to deliver on X, Y, and Z, this is how much it costs, but I also want to make X amount on top. So if I know that this thing costs me $5,000 a month to deliver and I want to make a 25% margin, then I got to charge $7,500. I got to move that number up, right? And that's how much it costs.
Right.
And I just got to charge that number. And and maybe it's not particularly affordable. Maybe I can't do that right now at this, but maybe I need to get 10 customers in order to be able to charge this amount, because it's economies of scale kind of thing.
It is economies of scale. It is economies of scale. Here's a thought to consider. You mentioned that 5,000 is your base cost, 25% is margin. Now, even with 25% margin, you also want to factor in, you're going to have your taxes as well. So you want to factor in for that one, because Uncle Sam will get his cut. He's a gangster. He coming for his regardless. So consider this move as well.
Please. Everybody
likes a discount. I'm not saying discount your price, but everybody likes a discount. So there's value and there's perceived value. So if 7,500 is your number, go to 9,000. But you know what I can do for you to give you 10% discount? Come out at 8,100.
Yeah.
You're still over at 75, and you got enough cushion to take your Uncle Sam, get him off your back.
Yeah.
Because the customer got a discount. They felt good. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you're still Disneyland, but today we got a package for you.
Yeah. It's taking, and even just that thought process, it's taking the emotion out of the sale. Just understanding this is how much it costs. This is how much it costs. And
Facts.
to that point, this is a strategy that I listened to recently, and I'd love to hear your opinion and what you think about it. But when you're having a hard time raising your prices, lay it out somewhat similar to this, right? You have create a price model of where you want it to be charged at. So let's say you want to raise it from $5,000 a month and you want to start charging $10,000 a month. So I think, and I'm going to do my best to say this because it's more complex and I haven't executed on it yet. But if you want to charge $10,000 a month, then have that be your median price option. Create a price option that's significantly more expensive than that. So create a product that's $15,000 a month. Then you have a product that's $10,000 a month. And then you have a product of where you're currently at, but that's only the initial payment. Right. So for example, if let's say you're charging $5,000 and you want to charge $10,000, well, we're going to there's an option where it's $10,000 a month, or you can pay $5,000 right now and $5,000 2 weeks later. So you're still getting paid the same amount, and the salesman is still asking for the same amount of money, but it's just a different payment model, which I found really interesting. So you're removing like the uncomfortableness of saying, oh, well, our price is this now, and it's just so much more money. You're still given the option to pay this up front, which is less money. So it makes you more comfortable and maybe the prospect more comfortable, but then you have this other option that's way more expensive.
So I'm familiar with that model as well. That's the good, better, best model, right? And when you're providing a proposal to, especially with high ticket, when you're providing a proposal to a customer, you want to have a good option, the better option, and the best option. Well, the better option is really your best option. And the best option is like all the bells and whistles, a Bugatti air sled type thing, right? Yeah, I'm familiar with that one. That works.
What do you think?
Well, I know it works. I've used it in the past. Now, the goal is what I consider from a different perspective as well, because one of the hardest things to do and to consider also is one of the models I have within my course, is considering how you increase your revenue, right? So and I like to use this number of $100,000. If you want to make $100,000 in a month, that's where you are. And if you want to double it, $100,000 a month, there are only three KPI to look at, and those are key performance indicators. And that is number of customers, your average customer value, how much they spend, and then their frequency, average, how often they spend, right? So I have 100 customers spending $1,000 a month. They order once a month. That's my $100,000, right? But I want to double it. If I double my price, just double move one of those levers by 2, I'm going to lose attrition quickly. Some customers, they can't afford it, right? If I try to get them to order twice as much, I'm also going to lose customers because I can't, because of their situation. I don't know what's going on behind their doors where you can't get them to order twice as much. But then to double the amount of customers, how long did it take me to get that first 100? It's not easy to just double overnight.
Yeah.
So instead, I look at just increasing all 3 of those levers: number of customers, average customer value, frequency, increasing those by 30%, each one of them by 30%, right? And when you do that, that 100 becomes 130, 1,000 becomes 1,300, and that 1 becomes 1.3. It ends up being around $217,000 in change, which is more than doubling by just increasing 30%.
Wow.
Right.
So instead of just thinking about one of the metrics and seeing which one you need to increase. Okay.
Yes. Instead of focusing on doubling one, you put less effort in increasing all these by 30%.
Yeah.
Now, the way you do that is recognizing the 80-20 rule. 80% of your revenue comes from your top 20 of your customers. And even though you have the top 20 customers, all 20 aren't ordering. They're not fully maximized or utilized, right? I've done this many times with the team at the catering shop, and we look at them. All right, 108 customers. We have like 500 something. 108 customers are ordering. Of those 108, 36 are ordering. But that 36 is we in the weeds now. That 36 is equal over $100,000 by themselves. 36, which means I've got another 70 something. If I get them to order, I can almost double what I'm making in a month.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So you focus on that top 20, getting that top 20 maximized, get them to order, and that'll also increase my order size, and that'll also increase my frequency. Just by focusing on the 80-20 rule will increase all 3 of those, thereby increasing my overall revenue.
Yeah.
So again, it's work smarter, not harder. Sometimes the easy move is think, if I can just double this, That's a quick one, and that's harder for you. It's easier to just move everybody incrementally at once,
Yeah.
and you'll find all your money increases.
1% better every day kind of model.
Mamba mentality.
Yeah. I love it. Let's get into a little bit of the mindset stuff here. And we talked a little bit about this from a tactical standpoint of how to differentiate yourself from your competitors. From a value standpoint, it's figure out what your niche is, what do they want, solve their problems, right? But when you think about differentiating yourself internally from your competition, how do you do that? What do you think?
I love this one. This is part of the entirety of my plan. I call this is in the foundation itself, right? And I call it freedom. The foundation, the first step. The first thing you have to recognize is you are one of one. In every one of you, every entrepreneur, every person on the planet, we're all endangered species. Only one ever has been. Your two parents, miracle they came together to create you. Your miracle, the experiences that you had to create the form the way you think. Your miracle to create the experience that you've had, the books that you read, situations to form your brain. It's unique. And your path to success is as unique as your fingerprint. You are absolutely a one of a kind. And so you have to embrace that every day, right? That's the first thing. Embracing that allows you the confidence to recognize I am not an imposter. I'm real, I'm not fake. So since I am not an imposter, I am real. I'm one of one, an endangered species. I am here to do something, whatever it is. But whatever it is I do, that's what I was here to do, right? So I embrace that. And in embracing that, I recognize what it is I bring to the table and my gifts or my experience with the business. Everybody doesn't have to go through the same experience to receive their gifts. I literally was having a conversation with my mother this morning, and she's done a lot of work with people, helping them get jobs and get the confidence to apply for a job. And people always think, I can't apply for this job, I don't have the certificate, or I don't have the degree, I don't have the education. But you've been doing the job, right? And so if you have 1 year of experience, that's worth 2 years in the classroom.
Yeah.
Right? People discount that. Your lived experience doing a job is valuable. I got 13 years of taking entrepreneurship to an enterprise where I don't have to go to work. Multiple seven figures. I don't like golf, it's the only reason why I don't play. But I want to. I could be out there swinging sticks instead of want to be out here helping folks, right? So the point of that story is you have your own path to success. Embrace it.
Yeah.
First part of the mindset.
What do you say about how to lean into that strength? Because I think something that's interesting is because social media is such a big part of so many people's lives now, especially amongst those younger professionals, younger entrepreneurs, we see a lot of these different people that are accomplishing big things, that are younger and younger, people that are 19 that are making a bunch of money, people that are 25 making a bunch of money, all these things are perceived, right? And they say, well, this is how I got there. What advice do you have for people on how to lean into their strengths and not just copy and paste somebody else's model on how they got there?
That's beautiful. And it goes back to what I was just saying. Everybody's path to success is as unique as their individual fingerprint, right? Somebody else's path to success, they got there at an early age. Okay, cool. Congratulations. Grass is not always green on the other side. I don't know the opportunities that are provided for them to get there. I don't know how much seed money they were given to get where they were. I don't know how much support they got there. Like a quote I heard. You can see a frog on top of the pole, doesn't get there by himself, right? So when you look at social media, okay, that frog's on the pole, cool, doesn't get there by himself. That's got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
So I have to recognize what I have to do. I keep my head down, know what my plan is, and I'm working it regardless. Because all that other stuff is just distraction or noise. Some people may have good advice. Listen to it, but measure it. Just because somebody says drink strychnine, don't drink strychnine. You have to use your own brain. Right? That's what education is for.
Yeah.
Drink cis. You know how I got skinny? I drank cyanide for 3 days straight. Yeah, okay, cool. I bet you did. That's why you're a skeleton. No, that's not how this works. Use your brain.
Yeah.
Common sense is self-defense.
So how can younger people identify what those strengths are that they can lean into? That self-analysis, because I think that's something I see in a lot of people is they come out of college, and this happens to me because I'm looking to hire relatively soon, and I want to hire people that are younger and ready to kind of attack the world and attack their careers. and they come out and they don't always necessarily know what truly separates them because they've gotten forced into this mindset by going through college of this is what I know, this is how you do things, and it puts them in this bucket with so many other people and they don't actually realize, no, you are different. How can they identify those things that make them different, those strengths that they should leverage and lean into?
Oh, okay, here we go. And this is why, with that question, this is why the sales skill set is so important, right? I was saying earlier, everybody hates salespeople, which is facts. But everyone needs to be a salesperson, right? When you're on a date, you're selling yourself. Trying to get a job, you're selling yourself, right? And in both cases, what is it that makes you special? Which is what the question is, right? So in this case, you have to look at what are you bringing to the table? And for my headhunter days, I'm going back to what it is we were looking for. How can you make a company money? What have you done? What's your experience making a company money? Or if you're process oriented, how can you save a company money? How can you look at this problem, recognize what's going on, get to the root cause, and identify where waste is and remove that from the operation, thereby saving them money, thereby making the company more profitable? Can you do that? Or what are your achievements? What have you done? What have you been recognized for in your game? Everybody has something you can look back and see that. Everybody's got that. But you have to be honest with yourself and look at your analysis. You might suck at administrative tasks. I hate administrative tasks, which is why I lean into technology. Automations are wonderful. However, you recognize what your strengths are and supplement those. But when you're looking for talented people, and don't fall into the trap of thinking the resume is going to tell you how somebody's awesome. Mm-hmm. The resume is a report card of what they've done before. But it doesn't show me how they fit in culture, right? Somebody can be a great producer, but from a culture standpoint, I hate working with you. Why are you here? What can I do to change that? Right? You don't want that problem. What you want is somebody that's, even if they don't have the experience, most skills can be taught. What can't be taught is attitude. What can't be taught is go get it. What can't be taught is punctuality. What can't be taught is hunger. What can't be taught is drive. If they have those ingredients, the things that make an entrepreneur, that's what I want to work with. Because they're going to work differently. But if the person, they can have an incredible resume. When they come in, I was listening to a coach speak the other day, and he was saying, you can have somebody that's hungry, or you can have somebody who wants to eat. The person that's hungry is going to put in work. They're not going to wait for the meal, because everything's in the cabinet. They're going to make stuff. They'll eat a mayonnaise sandwich. They don't care to get it done. They're going to make everything happen. If somebody's waiting to eat, they're waiting. They have no get up and go. I don't want that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It reminded me of two things, actually. Just that whole concept. Number one, I was in March, I was in a position where I was looking to hire somebody. And over the next 3 months, I took over 100 interviews. I did over 100 interviews. I didn't hire one person. There was only one person I actually moved forward with and I was going to hire, and that one fell through. But then afterwards, I was thankful that I didn't. And the number one reason wasn't because of the skill set. I am a firm believer that skill set can be taught. When you start to get people into that interview process, you start to realize, and you have multiple of them, you start to see some of that personality that shines through. And people will always put their best foot forward during an interview because it's the time when they'll want it the most.
Correct.
When they're in the company, hey, my paycheck's coming next week. Let's go. It's hard to fire me. I'm W-2, motherfucker. But no, it's when they're in that interview process, they're putting their best foot forward, and we were looking to hire an editor. And one of our processes was, okay, first interview was with me, 5-minute phone call. Let me just kind of get a feel for you. Like, how do you talk? What's your voice sound like? You can just get an energy read from somebody off of just a quick conversation.
Right.
And from that, I would pass them forward into the first stage of the interview where we'd go a little bit more in depth into the job role. Second one, they'd go a little bit more depth into the technicalities. And after that second one, we would give them a video to edit. And none of the videos were to our standard because it's hard to find someone to our standard. Mm-hmm. But the things that we really looked for were how quickly did they get the video to us? Mm-hmm. How much effort did they actually put into this? And the way that we gauged effort was how many spelling errors are there? How many spelling errors are there? What's the attention to detail on these things? And then third was just the level of communication. When they got the video back to us, did they provide any clarification as to why they did what they did? Did they ask any questions? Did they ask any questions even beforehand? So those are the three metrics that we really looked at. I don't care if the video looks like shit. You haven't been, Caitlin, my girlfriend who does the editing, she's edited well over 2,000 videos by now, over the past 2 years. Because it's a video, it's like, she has edited between 2 and 5 videos a day for 700 straight days. Wow. So and that's 7 days a week. So she's absolutely phenomenal. I don't expect you guys to be to her level on your first couple videos, but we can train that into you. Right? Just those 3 metrics are the number one reason why I haven't hired anybody, because it's hard to find that dog mentality of like, I'm going to go after it. I want this position. I'm going to put that time and detail into doing this thing. So I'm 100% with you on that. And it's I've also noticed when I find those people, my girlfriend always gets on me about this, but when I find the people that do have those things, I hitch onto them. I'm like, I want you. If I have to be patient and I have to wait for you to come work with us, that's all right. You got the sauce. You got what you need, and I want you a part of what we're doing. But I go all in on that person because it's so hard to find those skill sets. So that's kind of my experience with what you're talking about.
And what you're saying is what makes a good GM for a sports team, right? You identify what's going to make your team strong. Even if they're playing for another team, when you find an opportunity, you want to bring them on, but you have to eyeball them. You have an eye for talent. And that dog mentality is what makes the difference. Like, my team is small but mighty, right? And for example, my executive chef, every time I tell the story, I just feel a headache come on my head. I'm sorry, it's still mild. It's like, Father God, this happened in 2000. Okay, it's very upsetting still.
So, hey, I'm ready for this story, man. You got me on my toes.
Okay, so in 2015, we got a great contract. We got it with one of the Microsoft subsidiaries, right? And in 1 week, we would have them for breakfast for lunch 350, and it'd be a complete different dinner for 275, right? And every day of the week, Monday night, Tuesday night, yada yada yada.
Wow.
Right? Now it was a lot of work. However, this one account would be like $60,000 a week, right? So we would pay. That one account was the whole month's sale. Everything we had in sales game was 1 week, which means everything else we did for the other 3 weeks was gravy. Most people you ain't gotta be a genius, but if you got an AA in common sense, you know this is what you want to keep, right? Our kitchen manager at the time was a different person than who's my executive chef now, right? Back then I had to work every job, so I was there on lunch and evening. This 1 week, I went there for lunch, we ran out of food. Number one rule in catering, you do not run out of food. I see your eyeballs, exactly. I see the whites of them. I see no puke. Yes, oh Lord Jesus.
Well, I raised my eyebrows at that because I know that if I was housing that, if a caterer ran out of food, I'd be pissed. I always make sure to, as an entrepreneur and someone that has people in the office, I always make sure to over order just in case you get that one guy that's like, force.
Exactly, because you don't want the person ordering to look bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, and I'm there as an owner, I'm taking all the smoke, all the heat, keep it professional, blah, blah, blah. Go off in the corner, make a telephone call. Hey, we ran out of food, make sure we don't run out of food tonight. That night, yes sir, ran out of food. Make the call in the morning. Okay, so we ran out of food again tonight. Make sure tomorrow for lunch we don't run out of food. Next day, go to the job. Yep. I'm not kidding. Ran out of food. Cussed out again. Make the call. That night, cussed out again. Ran out of food again. 4 times. Oh, I'm not done. Came back that Wednesday morning, lunch. Cussed out again. 5 times. I'm sorry, I'm feeling my twitch come back. It gets me hot. Oh, Jesus. So anyway, 5 times ran out. That night we didn't run out of food. The rest of the week we didn't run out of food. But we had 5 straight strikes. Baseball, you only get 3, you're out.
Usually business, you don't come close to 5. Usually after 2, it's
a wrap, you know what I'm saying? And again, in context, this one job was 60 racks, $60,000. One job. It covered all of our expenses, payroll, everything. It was our entire sales goal for the month.
There's 4 words that I would have said to my team before that. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
don't fuck it up. That's all you got to do. Don't fuck it up.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
it's basic.
No, man.
Basic. Yeah, so anyway, So we made a change. And our executive chef, who's now our executive chef, who was a line cook at the time, we made a transition, took that chef, the one that was in charge, took her out of that operation, moved her to a different team altogether, give her a shot. But we haven't had that problem since.
Yeah.
Right. And this team has now grown to 7. They're amazing. We've done intimate dinners for 2, up to party of 7,000. We did Super Bowl 50.
Wow. Congratulations. That's very cool.
We were one of 4. Actually, what was cool was when the NFL came to the Bay, we were one of 4 caterers that was showcased to the NFL. And we didn't finish our application. I still don't know how they found me. Don't care. I'm very happy. But wow. Let me digress.
Well, once you're already in the sports industry too, so
Right.
people from the NFL, NHL, NFL, or NBA, they're always moving between.
Exactly.
So
and they've been very, very good to us. And I digress. So when we made the pivot, now our executive chef, we don't have those problems anymore.
yeah,
But I forgot how I got there. Ooh, Lord, you gotta have the right people on the team.
Yep.
Yes, you gotta have the right people on the team.
well, even thinking back to one of the points that you made earlier, asking yourself, how can you make a company money? How can you save a company money? That's one of the number one things that I tell people when they're coming out of college, and they say, well, and I say, what kind of value can you bring? Well, I don't know. Okay, these aren't people I'm looking to hire, trust me. But this is just people I know. And I'm like, look, all you got to do is identify how can you make a company money. And if you can figure out how to do that, and I actually tried, 2 years ago when they were sophomores, and I should have been a sophomore, I told them the same thing. I was an entrepreneur at the time, and I told them, why do you not have a side hustle? Do you think that college is going to teach you how to go to a company and become a marketing person there and actually make them money? It's not. It teaches you the stuff that you would need to know if you were the head of marketing for a Fortune 500 company. This stuff doesn't make any small business money, and those are the people. And the majority of the economy runs through small businesses, not these Fortune 500 companies. So if you start a side hustle, you learn how to create content, run ads, make sure that you just come up with different creative styles, do those different things that actually make small businesses money.
Yes.
And you do it 10 hours a week. As a side hustle, making a couple $100, doesn't matter how much you make. When you come out of college, that's the person I'm looking to hire. But so little applicants have that little caveat on their resume of, this is how I'm gonna make you money. And I actually started asking that question on the interviews, and people gave the same generic answer. It was, well, I know how to do this job. Well, that job, okay, I could teach anyone to do that job. What are you going to do to help me grow my business? So it's super underrated. It's a super underrated question and concept.
Well, now the reason why it's a super underrated question and concept is because entrepreneurship is not part of the ethos of the states, right? Mm-hmm. Our education system does not teach us or foster an opportunity for us to be entrepreneurs. On the one hand, we're told, pull yourself by your own bootstraps. The United States is land of opportunity, yada yada yada. Land of the free and all that stuff. Meanwhile, when we go to school, we're taught to follow instructions, go to lunch at the same time, follow the bill. So we're being programmed to be factory workers. If you just go through the regular K through 12 system, right? If you go to college, they train you how to be a factory manager, right? They're training you how to manage those factory employees, but they never teach you how to build a business.
Yeah.
Right? And so everything we get in our education system is really the blue pill. We're all living in the matrix, but we keep getting fed the blue pill. You need to find people who took the red pill, see what's really going on. And once they get the red pill, they have a different hustle. There's a different mentality. They recognize, they see what's really happening. They don't fall for the okie doke, the gaslight, the banana in the tailpipe. And those folks are the ones that can take opportunities and read.
Yeah.
Those ones that are the lifelong learners, that are trying to pick up information, that are reading books on the side that have not been assigned for a book report. They're trying to learn for the sake of learning. Those are the ones that can figure out how they can make a business money. I can tell you how to make any business money. I can help any business make money. This is what I do.
Yeah.
But because I took the red pill.
Yeah.
So hit him with the matrix question too.
Dude, it's killer. It's killer. And I actually, because this concept of entrepreneurship, right? I don't even like defining entrepreneurship as this thing of starting a business. I like defining entrepreneurship is problem solving, because that's all you are as an entrepreneur.
That's what it is.
All you are is you identify a customer You look at the problem set that they have. Which problem do I want to solve for them? Choose that problem, find the solution, deliver it to them in exchange for money.
Facts.
That's it. So you don't need to be an entrepreneur to take the red pill. All entrepreneurship is, all the red pill is solving fucking problems at scale and enjoying doing it. And that's it.
Well, the reason why you said that, no, it's true, that's all it is. But that was a choice, you've already taken it and you recognize you did it. But there's a difference between an entrepreneur and a entrepreneur, right? I want to, but you don't have the gumption to get up and do it, right? So you want to be, but you don't do it.
Keep talking. I'm gonna pull something up, this quote that I really love, but keep talking.
So you want to, but you don't have the discipline to hold yourself accountable to get things done. You want to, but you won't get up early in the morning to knock out the work. You want to, but you won't do the research, right? So you provide the lip service, but not the action. So your entrepreneurship is measured by the dedication and the work you're going to put in to make it happen.
Yeah.
You got to pay the cost to be the boss.
I love that, and I 100%, and that's a concept I've been thinking about a lot, because the thing that I'm not good at is routine. But the more that I start to grow and the more people that I have relying on me, because I'm big on community. Like I brought Ryan onto this podcast because I wanted to give him the opportunity to ask you some questions, learn from this whole environment, and I want to make an impact on many more.
Right.
And when you start to get up to that scale where people start to look at you, routine actually becomes incredibly important, because you have to make sure that you get certain things done.
Yes.
And you're no longer just, like, you're not the only one that relies on you anymore. Like, I can go without eating dinner tonight, but if I don't go and get groceries to cook dinner, now my girlfriend doesn't eat.
Right.
If I don't get up today and I don't go and grow the business, now I can't afford to have this office to bring these other people that look forward to coming in here and working and doing cool shit. So it's you got to stick to the routine. You got to level up as more people start to rely on you. But this one quote really hits with me based on what you were talking. You can measure how powerful a man is by the time between when he has an idea and when the idea becomes reality.
Ooh,
The difference between an entrepreneur and a wantrepreneur.
that's spicy.
How quickly can you move an idea from becoming just this dream, just this goal, to actually putting it into existence?
Right.
And that, coming back down to making a business money, that's like the secondary portion of that. Not only how can you make a business money, but how quickly can you look at something that's non-existent and put it in front of me?
Right.
And make it happen. It's just about making it fucking happen.
Right.
And that is something that I'm just constantly looking for in people. Obviously, you got that. I know Ryan's got it. He's got to take that next step, and I'm working on it every single day. I got to take the next step too. But that's something that I think should resonate with a lot of different people out there. I want to ask you a couple more questions, but this one's going to be this one's my favorite one so far. For the young entrepreneur out there, the person that wants to build their empire, I want to ask you to give two pieces of advice. One piece of advice, I want to be very tactical. How can they go about starting that next thing, that first thing that's going to build them into that empire? And secondly, what's a piece of advice mindset advice that you would give to them on how to keep their mind right as they're going about this?
That was tough. Okay, so I got the answer to the second one. I'm trying to figure out the first one.
I'll re-ask you the first one. If you go into the second one if you have that answer.
Okay, so for the second one, the journey is everything, right? Every day is a different challenge. Every day is a different set of problems that you have to solve. Every day it's a different mystery, which makes the journey so rewarding, so awesome, so incredible, right? It's never the same. It's never the same thing twice. You can't get bored. You can't get bored. It's impossible, right? So, but what's important as you begin to develop your routines and achieve successes, don't get stuck. When I say don't get stuck, don't think that what you did to get where you are is what you need to do to get where you're going. It's different paths. The path between entrepreneur and self-employed, that's one set of rules. There's something you have to do, but it's not the same thing you need to do to level up when you now go from self-employed to business owner. Self-employed to business owner is a whole new journey. And what you did before, some of that stuff worked, but all of it doesn't translate. You have to level up again. And then when you level up again to move to business owner, yeah, it's a whole new mindset, whole new set of challenges. And what you need is you now have employees and what it takes to focus on culture and make sure it's accountable, training, systems. That's vastly different now than just trying to develop a product, sell a product, get people to buy the product, sell that product to pay for myself. Now I've leveled up. Now other people are depending on me. How accountable am I? And how we're building systems, how we continue to grow, and how we take it to the next level where this group of individuals who we brought on to form into the leadership, so they can replace me. So I level up to the next level again. And now I'm on an enterprise stage. It's a whole new journey because we need to stay the same. So the customers that were with us in the beginning when I was an entrepreneur have the same experience now as an enterprise. You don't want to lose them. So don't get stuck.
Always level up.
Always level up.
Always be thinking about how you can grow yourself.
Continuous improvement has to be part of your mindset. It has to be part of the culture of operation, because if you are not evolving, you are dying, because your competition is coming behind you to take your lunch, just like you came and took somebody else's lunch.
Yeah.
Don't fall asleep at the wheel.
And I want to give a piece of tactical advice around that, because I think that it can be difficult sometimes to do that when you're in the day-to-day minutia of just grinding, selling, marketing, product fulfillment, doing that process over and over again. But that's actually a big reason why I even do this podcast, is because when you can find ways to leverage, that's huge. And what I do is I bring people onto the podcast so I can market myself and my business, but I also bring people on that I can learn from to continue to grow myself. So when you can hit two birds with one stone, you're winning, right? And if you read books, and I think reading books is another great leverage point, because you read the book, then you take that book, you take the concepts that you learn from the book, and then you use it to train your team, you use it to train your clients, you use it to train the people that you're cultivating relationships with. So it's about finding these points of leverage that A, you enjoy doing, and B, that you can apply to multiple different things. By me reading, I get better myself, and I can leverage that information to many other people to increase my perceived value in their minds.
Absolutely.
And I can use that in my training. So that's why I do this podcast. That's why I read so much, is so I can constantly be bringing value to others, and I can learn from others at the same time as growing my brand.
Absolutely.
I love that. Now let's talk about tactical advice. So if someone wants to start their business, they're at square one, they have an idea of what they're good at, they have an idea of what they want to do. Now what do? What's the next step to starting to build that thing out?
Okay. The tactical advice, the next step, what to do to build that thing out. Okay, so that basically gets back to the model, the freedom model. In the foundation itself, the first is you have to understand self and what it is that you bring to the table, and how you are not an imposter, and how you can lead. With that, you have to understand who your customer is. Who is your ideal customer? Why are they your ideal customer? What is the pain they need for you to solve? With that, who are your competitors? Your SWOT analysis. What allows them to be on the market? What sets that value spectrum from we talked about it earlier. I'll go back to the car analogy. From the smart cars to Bugattis. Where are your competitors on that value spectrum, and where do you fall on the value spectrum? Have a clear sign of all those items. And when you have that clear sign, build your business plan. Now, you don't have to go through the whole paperwork of, matter of fact, when I built my business plan many moons ago, and even when I started again with this group, with this operation, I used Live Plan, Live plan, all one word, and built it out. Beautiful software. Made it so easy. I was able to knock it out in 6 hours, right? And I was able to knock it out in 6 hours. It provided me KPI and metrics so I can measure to see how I'm doing according to my plan and how I'm executing. I'm also able to produce a prospectus. So I want to go to the bank and say, hey, I need money. That live plan, that business plan, that one-time work, I can leverage over and over again. So you don't just write it down on paper, just never look again. That should be a living document, like your trust with, home and compensation. But a living document like your trust and will that you can use to leverage your own existence. Anyway, that's in the foundation, right? Now, if you have the foundation piece established, it's still talking about tactics. Now we talk about your revenue. How are you going to make money? How are you going to maintain that money? I talked about it briefly when we mentioned the account value, and the frequency. The 80-20 rule is part of it. But there's also an aspect of knowing your numbers where when you have your customer base, how it's going to grow, I call it real W. Retention, engagement, acquisition, loyalty, and win back. That is where your money is, right? How do you keep your customers? Because if you don't have a solid foundation, you can't build. You keep putting water in the bucket with a hole in it, the bucket's never going to get filled. Close the hole in the bucket, keep the water, and see how it grows. That's your retention. Engagement, because marketing is so important. We always say how marketing and sales are intertwined. Engagement is important because you need to have your customers and prospective customers engaged with your brand. What can you do to make your brand sticky? This is important. Acquisition. All companies have an attrition rate. Typically 8% is the regular number, so you always want to be growing more than that. So you can't think, I've got customers that's good. You're always acquiring customers. That never stops. You want to grow by at least 15% every year. Next is loyalty. What is in your mission and in your company story that customers can be loyal to you and then refer you? Are customers referral partners, or do you have other referral partners on the outside? And then lastly, win back. Time to time, things happen. You're going to lose a customer. But what are you going to do to get them back? I mean, you've got them once. Wait, take the smoke, man. Deal with it. Sit down. What can I do? What went wrong? How do we fix it? Let them tell you. Sit through the uncomfortable. It's all right. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get that money.
Yeah.
All right, so that's retention. So that's the retention side. Now E is execution. Now you got your foundation, retention, execution. What are you going to do to make sure this system goes into practice? What's your plan for execution? What software do you have to maintain this situation? Do you have a CRM, customer relationship management software that you will use? It's not enough to say I've invested in Salesforce, okay, but do you use it? No, you wasted your money. Don't turn your money on fire. Use something you're going to use, something that's easy, because when you talk to a customer, you need to keep all that information. And when you're something that's scalable. So when your employees talk to the customer, and the employee gets the COVID, gets hit by a bus, what happens to that information?
Yeah.
If you don't have a CRM, you don't know where to go next. Get a CRM. I'm just saying. So that's part of the execution. And then how you have your project management software that ties into your CRM. So whatever's promised to the customer, you can deliver and hold all the parties responsible, all the stakeholders that are involved accountable for executing those deliverables at the time required so you can exceed your customer's expectations.
Yeah.
Execution. Empowerment. Make sure you're reading books, doing what you can to feed your mind, feed your spirit, making sure you're in a positive space. Because no matter what nobody tells you, entrepreneurship is not made for the faint of heart. Pressure busts pipes or makes diamonds, and you're going to feel all the pressure. So if you're feeling yourself crack, you might need a little more substance in your life. Empowerment. Feed it. Music, art, books, people that have experience that you haven't had to get you on a level. Have a crowd around you so that if you fall, somebody can pick you up. Because if you're by yourself and you fall, that tree fell in the wilderness, who heard it? Nobody. Okay, now D, duplicate. You have to have a system so you can repeat what you've done before with the F, the R, the E, and the E. Can you duplicate it? Because if you can't duplicate it, you can't grow. O, ownership. Make sure that you are holding yourself and all those responsible in your company accountable. Everybody has to own their outcomes. If you don't own your outcomes, you're playing, you're stealing money. And sometimes in business, I turn a big worm. It can't have you there stealing my money and working too hard to get it. Own your outcomes, produce. And when you have a conversation, be an adult about it. What went wrong? Why did it go wrong? What can we do?
Yeah.
What do you think? Have answers to the problem. If you rely on me to have the answers, why am I paying you to be here? And then lastly, M is management. Management, you want to continue to grow and develop in your management style and running the business. You cannot lead a ship if you're in the engine room. You don't see what's going on. You got to be on the bridge.
Yeah.
You can't see the forest for the trees. Meaning, you so far down the weeds, you don't know where you are. Climb a tree, see how high everything is, elevate above your situation, see what's going on around you. That is the relationship of entrepreneur, business owner, leader. You're no longer the guy with the idea, the person, whatever. You're no longer the pronoun with the idea. You are responsible. You can't lead if your head's in the sand. Stop being an ostrich, put on your big person underwear, grow up, get on a tree and see what's going on. Anyway, that's what I got.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for breaking that down for us. Freedom.
Freedom.
I love it. All right. I'm going to end off with one last question, and this is probably the most important one. What do you think is the number one attribute that determines success?
Sure. You're not afraid to fail. So let's qualify our measure of success, right? Everybody has a different measure of success, what success is.
What's your definition of success?
You did something that worked. And it could be anything that worked, right? But in order to do something that worked, I had to do something that didn't work so many times that I found out what worked. When you first learn music and you're practicing and you suck and you're making terrible noises, You got to keep going through the suck until you get to not sucking so much until, oh, I'm actually producing a decent sound. Or if you're playing a sport, you have to go through the reps long enough where, I don't know what sports you might have played, but from a linebacker position, you got to run the reps, recognize the hole, shoot the gaps so you don't get beat. You might got beaten once. You better learn from your mistakes. Get better. And now next time they ran that play, I sacked the quarterback, or I got an interception, or I knocked the running back's hat off. Success. I'm saying, recognize you got beat, find out why you got beat, do better. To me, that process of dissecting where I failed and improving, getting 1% better each time, that is success. Measure the journey, not the destination. Enjoy the journey.
Thank you so much, man. No, that was absolute gold. Thank you very much, Craig Cooper, for jumping on the podcast, dropping some absolute dimes for us today. Hopefully you guys got a ton of valuable information from this about sales, about marketing, about mindset, about being a success in whatever you want to be a success in. I appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode, but before we go, can you tell us the two businesses that you run and do a quick pitch for everybody in case they want to find you?
Excellent. I'll start with the catering because it is holiday season. So, anybody can sell food. You can go anywhere and get food. McDonald's sell food. No shade, but it's facts. So I don't sell food. I provide an experience. Food service and presentation. So, did I mention the waffle earlier?
You didn't mention the waffle.
Okay, well imagine this. A honey Dijon mustard glazed beef short rib taco. Or what about a brown sugar glazed lamb chop on a bed of cranberry walnut crispy?
My stomach has already been growling over here, man. You better stop. I'm too goddamn hungry for this.
Yes. So yeah, this is the type of food we provide. Food service and presentation will make an amazing experience. And the folks that hire us, they get to just enjoy. We make sure that they enjoy themselves. Even at weddings, we track down the bride and groom and make sure they eat. Because they never do this. Eat the food. You pay for it. You know what I'm saying? And we take care of all the details. PINX, pinkscatering.com. Life is short and something nimble.
That's amazing. Do you have a specific party size for that?
Intimate dinner for two, up to 7,000.
What?
So
there you go.
If you have people that's hungry,
what if I have 7,002?
Hey, make money make sense. We got it.
Make money make sense. We need a shirt with that, man. I love it.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah, so we'll work that out. That's how we got to 7,000.
I love it.
So that's the catering business. The coaching, commonsenserevenue.com. I help foodpreneurs. I help individuals that have a side hustle. Go from side hustle to $1 million. Or if you're at $1 million and you're stuck, $1 million in a year. $1 million and you're stuck and you're trying to get to 5 million. Now you go from 1 million to 5 million.
Amazing.
Get your money.
Amazing. Hey man, I really appreciate you. Thank you again for jumping on, both the audience and Craig. I hope you guys find an opportunity to go check out his websites, check out his business, and that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.